I'm Timmy Bounce Back, the name dropper. We've got so much to talk about today. Our guest is Arash Markazi, a sports journalist and media personality. I'm with LJ Cat Chad Fonz, and we're at State Social House on Sunset Boulevard. It is the rule to name drop in Hollywood. It's kind of like the blue check mark on Insta. It can be tacky or lame, but also very effective. So, Arash, anything in the sports world or the marketing world is a pretty common dream amongst kids. How do you land in journalism?
It's pretty amazing. I think when I was a kid, I didn't know how height and genetics work. And my mom is 4'11", my dad's 5'1". I dreamt of being a point guard for the Lakers. Magic Johnson, 6'9", not knowing that an Iranian American with two parents 5 foot or shorter, that was not going to happen. So if I was going to have a career in journalism and sports, it would have to be as a journalist, doing that kind of a thing. So thankfully it happened. It's been a dream job. Not only growing up here, Showtime Lakers, but then having to cover these teams. So I grew up Showtime Lakers, but then I got to cover Kobe and Shaq and all those teams.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So at an early age, you were like, if I'm going to be in the sports
love
marketing,
sports.
I got to do it. So you're a writer first, right?
Yes.
So, okay, if you're going to be in the sports world, you're going to be a writer, you have to be a reader. What are some of the things that you read?
Well, I grew up reading the Los Angeles Times and Jim Murray, and it was just a great time in sports. Like, I didn't appreciate growing up here that we had, Chick Hearn and Vin Scully and Bob Miller. And so growing up, and then the teams were really good. You had Kirk Gibson and Hershiser with the Dodgers and Magic with the Lakers. And so just growing up, and then my dad was a massive sporks fan.
Okay.
He gambled. He wasn't a degenerate
gambler.
I gambled.
Whoa, I like your dad already.
Because I'd be like, why do you care about the Giants and Bills game? It's like, don't worry about it. And then he's rooting for the Giants, but not by a certain amount. So then I got to learn about that, how my love for Las Vegas kind of grew over that time.
Oh boy. Hold on.
Tear this up.
Yes, tear that up.
So, are you an only child?
I am. Well, no. So I was until 12 years old, and then my parents were like, "Hey, came back from their vacation in Hawaii. What did you think about having a younger brother?" So there's a big age gap there.
That's okay. I'm one of 8. My sister's 60, so I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. So what are the teams? So if your dad's a big time gambler, and he's big time in the sports, like obviously I'm from Philadelphia, so I love the Philly franchise.
Sure.
So I watch them because I'm passionate about them,
Yeah.
but I also do gamble. So who were his teams? Were they all LA?
So as a Philly fan, you're not going to like this. I mean, he was a big Cowboys fan.
Gross.
So,
Sickening.
right? And
Sickening.
so, but if you're a good gambler, you know kind of how bad the team is. So there was a period of time where they really struggled. He did well on those bets. And so, but a big Cowboys fan. That was the only non-Los Angeles team. Outside of that, it's Lakers, Dodgers, Kings, USC, which is where I went to school. But yeah, he's a big Cowboys fan.
Yeah, that is rough. But
I know.
It's funny. The franchises that I remember the most, that normally if you bet the favorite and you think it's a high-scoring game, a gambler would say that's a square bet.
Yeah.
It's not. You should bet dogs and unders. However, that Dallas team in the 90s where they won 3 Super Bowls in a row covered.
Always.
And Michael Jordan covered. Like, you could just bet Michael Jordan would cover the spread almost every time.
His best run was the Greatest Show on Turf. If you hopped on that bandwagon early, you knew that they were just going to cover. They probably covered like 20 straight games.
And the crazy thing is, he would stay in the game. Like, at what point is Phil Jackson going? He'd go, "You ain't taking me out, motherfucker."
Right.
Yeah. I think he bet.
You think?
Yeah, and I think we don't. And the thing is, I don't mind.
I wouldn't put it past them.
And I don't mind if they bet on
it's
themselves.
like exactly. So like Pete Rose thing. Like if you bet on your team to win, like I don't mind the coach who says, you know what, the line's 15, because hoops is the hardest. Where you could be up by 20, you put in the subs, and then you win, but you win by 6.
Right.
And let's talk about the refereeing with Tim Donaghy from
Amazing.
Delco,
That's
Philadelphia.
a great documentary, by the way.
Loved it.
Well, because here's the thing: it's such a tight knit group, and they pretended like Tim Donaghy was like this rogue official. He's texting and calling with this other guy 100 times a day, who's still an official, one of the premier officials. And it's
What's his name? Paul something or?
No, I'm blanking on his name, and I don't want because this guy is
Scott Ryan.
Scott Foster, who the players say
Scott
like
Foster.
Chris Paul. Like Google Chris Paul, Scott Foster.
0 for 13 in playoff games when he refs.
Something crazy where like if the league had any sense or like this is bad. First of all, if you're a gambler, like Scott Foster official, like it is bad when Scott Foster is a trending topic during a Chris Paul game. And by the way, so like KD goes to the Suns, they're going to be a good team. Scott Foster will probably get a playoff game of theirs, even though he shouldn't. It's going to be nuts.
I love that we're talking about this right now because do you think, I watched that documentary too, I don't think that Tim Donaghy was only betting with that one guy.
No.
I think he had about 14 different
100%.
outs. I think he was making millions of dollars. And if you remember the line moves, for anybody that doesn't understand gambling, a linesman handicaps a basketball contest judging on the talent of the team. So there's a number that comes out. So the linesman says the number 6. And depending on where the money goes, that number fluctuates, very much like horse racing. So if people are betting the favorite, the number from 6 goes 6.5 to 7. If they go the other way, it could go 5.5 to 5. When Tim Donaghy was reffing a game, there was so much money that it was being bet through black market bookies in China, and the line could move as much as 6 points in a day, which has never happened. Which
is, by the way, it's good that sports gambling is legalized because when it's legalized, it can be regulated. So the people.
But is it as much fun?
I still think here's the fascinating thing because everyone's like, oh, like this is a huge handle. What we still don't know is that, I mean, it is not legal in California, like everyone gambles. It's not legal in Texas, everyone gambles. It's not legal in Florida, everyone gambles. So,
major markets, too. Major markets.
And by the way, so, like, it was a prop here, and when I say it failed, it was the biggest, like, blowout. It was, like, 90 to 10
Those ads were hilarious. They're like,
crazy,
California moms against
trying to take our money. And it's like, it's going to be legal at some point. But I think if you know that there's that big of a swing, like if the line goes from like let's just say a pick 'em or 1 to 7 or 8, okay, something happened there. Like what happened there?
Yeah, I've been saying, I mean, I'm going to get in trouble for this again. I believe anything controlled by man, driven by money is tainted. So I believe there are fixes. I can sit here and tell you Super Bowls are a fix. They'll argue all day on.
Yeah.
Basketball's the
Says
easiest
the
to fix.
Philadelphia Eagles fan.
I didn't even complain about that. There was one fumble, which you could say, Jalen, when did you fucking fumble like that? I'm not going to say it, but, you know, I'm talking about officiating. And the reason being, there's a commissioner, right? There's also a commissioner of officiating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that commissioner has to answer his boss, and his boss will say, prop 1A is a travel. This move that James Harden does, the step back, it's a travel. If they want a game to be an under, they're going to call travels with the 3 point. So I'm not saying it's a fix like there's a script.
No.
But I think there's an ozone of wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah.
This is how it goes. Because if you remember, the NFL fired all of their referees the year that, I think it was 2014, New England had a perfect season. They lost to the Giants. Games were 50-3, 43-10. Do you know what happens? People stop watching the games.
Yeah.
So the advertisers lose the money. I'm sitting in Chad's bar. The Eagles are down to the Patriots 54-10. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Do you know how much money is being left on the table by not having a close fucking game in sports? All of a sudden,
That's
the next season, they hired back all the old refs, gave them all the money they want. There's too much money.
Yeah.
If you let things just shake out,
Well,
it would
to
be a
your
blowout.
point, you can't have it be okay. So, like as a sports journalist, like I can't believe that the game that I'm watching, the game that I'm covering, that there's the fix, because then it's like, what the heck am I watching?
Right.
The fan can't believe that. The one game though, that if you go back and you look at the stories that were and the way that people talked about it, that Kings Lakers Western Conference Finals game,
It's in my head. I can't.
is that
You're
you
in my
go
head.
back and for the first time, like columnists would say, listen, like I don't normally talk about this, but this seemed off. And the fact that that was the one game, if you were to say like, what was the high water mark at Tim Donaghy's like, oh my God, like that's a little bit too far, was that particular game.
Because those, I mean, by the way, that series was great. I think
It was great. And to be honest, like as a Lakers fan, like I'm like, hey, listen, Kings, you got robbed, but you did have a game 7 on your home court and you guys could not buy a shot. So like, you know, at the end of the day, you did have a chance. That being said, egregiously officiated game. I mean, absolutely horrendous. I mean, it was really bad.
Oh, okay, I can sit back talking about something. So NBA is, I think, the easiest to fix. I would say the NFL's second easiest to fix. I think hockey is difficult to fix
That's
because
tough one.
even if you pull the guys out, say you have 5-on-3, scoring goals, unless you take the goalie out, it's really tough. Strike zone, obviously.
And also the reviews, like they do in a lot of sports, it's not there. So they go up to Toronto, or in basketball, it's New Jersey. So they don't handle the replay. But you're right.
Steve Jaffee. Well, riddle me
Jaffee,
this.
that's
Riddle me
right.
this, because
Yeah.
this just happened to me. And I've been trying to lay off sports, but I got this detached retina, and I'm fucking bored to tears. So I fucking bet the over of the Pelicans game, and I lost by a half point. What constitutes, and if it's a blowout or whatever, a guy taking a shot with 24 seconds left on the shot clock or dribbling it out? Because
Ooh, that's a good question.
you don't know.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's generally like if the game is done, it's the gentlemanly or whatever. You're not supposed to shoot. So some guys do. Some guys will, shoot the half court shot or the three, and it's like really not. It's not. You're not supposed to. Now, yeah. Listen, if the line is a certain number, the worst is if it's like an uncontested dunk at the end of the game.
Yeah.
You're like that costs me.
Arash, I'm telling you, have you noticed this? You have to really pay attention. This is because I'm a psychopath. At the end of the game, the point guard will look to his bench and not ask the coach. He asks the assistant coach. Sam Cassell, I'm not throwing you under the bus, Sammy.
Man.
Shoot or don't shoot.
Interesting.
And somebody says shoot or don't shoot, and the guy listens.
Yeah.
The only guy that's ever not listened, Big Baby. He played for the Celtics.
That's right.
Yeah.
I needed 3 points. I had a middle on the over-under. Well, that's a psychopath. The guy that looks for a middle on an over-under is crazy. Celtics are killing him. He cruises down, says shoot. They say no. He heaves a three-pointer. It goes in. I won $50,000. I had $25,000. I could blow
Love
Big
Big
Baby.
Baby.
If he walked in, I would blow him.
That was how that guy got caught in college. Like he would,
the Arizona guy.
In Arizona State, the game would be over, and he would try so hard for like the last second three, and he'd be so dejected if it didn't go in. It's like, bro, we just lost by 12. Like what? And then they found out what the line was, and it's happened like a few times where it's like, okay.
College,
get it.
I think, is a lot easier because you're dealing with kids that can be bought.
Now, okay, so the new rules have changed that. I would agree with you, probably still do to a certain extent. But now if you're a very good player, you can sign these
You're making
deals.
bank.
You're making bank.
Yeah, I agree with
So
that.
if they get paid accordingly, now where it's clearly a problem is if they're not getting paid anything.
Right.
Then it's like, oh yeah, like I'll take it.
But he gets an education. Fuck,
Yeah.
the fuck is that? Was it 1950?
Exactly.
Arash, what's your ranking of sports like as a fan? I know like
Yeah.
Lakers and USC are like you're the guy.
Love Lakers, love
so-
USC. I love football when it's really big. If it's sold out, if it matters, if it's a big game.
But
There's
who's your
nothing
team?
like it.
Are you a Rams guy?
I kind of, we didn't have football here for
Right.
the longest time, and so I again, the Cowboys had training
Oh,
camp
no.
here, and my dad was a Cowboys fan. Listen, they haven't won anything since '96. You could, it's okay.
And they're mediocre every year, which I love.
This is fine. So when USC's good and the Coliseum sold out, that's fun. It's gonna be. By the way, we're talking about this with the Rams and the Chargers. Everyone's always wondering, like, we didn't have a pro team here for 21 years. It is really hard to develop that fandom. So everyone's
sure.
like, no one cares about the Rams. Well, like, I think they're beginning to care a little bit, but it's going to take 20 plus years. It's going to take the kids
now.
growing up. Yeah.
It's
so,
the kids. It's the kids.
but like if you go to a packed football stadium, and the reason that college is great is you get the students and you get the cheerleaders and the band, and I just love college football.
Well, the glory years, and I did profit off of it.
Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll, USC covered.
You always got to get a team at the beginning of the run, like USC when they just covered something like 20.
And the second half they rolled.
Exactly.
And I will say this, not even on a fixed note, they were just so deep than any other team that rotating their players, like the second half, some of the teams they were playing were just exhausted.
Exactly.
So that was a big bet for me. I do have a soft spot for Pete Carroll.
Fight on.
And Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good time for USC.
That was a
fun.
fun team. Like overall, they were just like ultimate swaggy, all very good
And
looking.
the great thing is we didn't have a pro football team,
Yeah,
so they were
it
the
was-
quasi-pro football team, and they ran all across Sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
they sure
lived
did.
it up. They were with Paris Hilton,
Yeah.
Kristen Cavallari.
And that was the time of like paparazzi and like
Exactly.
clubs, and like that's when LA was like super sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's tough for me because when I moved out here in '99, and Shaq and Kobe.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, if they could have gotten along, dude, they might have won 8 titles.
Yeah.
I mean,
So the thing with Shaq at the end was I don't. It was not just he didn't want to be with Kobe. You know, you get to a point where like he just wasn't in shape. And he didn't care about being in shape, and
Yeah.
that was a big problem with him and Kobe. Like they're like, "Come on, Shaq, you gotta be in shape, whatever." And so I think it took him to go to Miami.
you know, I'm about to say, I'll get shit for the playoffs.
Yeah, that was what it was. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't. But then so he gets traded to this, to the Heat, and he gets in shape. I mean, the Powell trade, people don't realize, and they probably do now, but like, that just helped Kobe's career so much, and the fact that like he was able to go to 3 more finals, win 2 more. Because if he doesn't do that, then he's always viewed as like Shaq's 2. Like he's he's not. The guy.
I listen. I disliked Kobe because I wanted him to play for the Sixers.
Oh.
That's the only.
Well, you
reason.
know what hurt him so much is when the Sixers fans booed him at the All-Star game.
No.
Yeah,
But that was really like something like massive Philadelphia fan.
I mean,
he loved the Eagles. He loved Philadelphia
we
sports.
gotta
Yeah, he
name
loved the
drop
Birds.
a
Yeah.
little bit here because I mean you were close with Kobe, right? Close.
It was
to-
really
yeah.
cool that I mean, my career began kind of like my first year, not on the beat, but I covered them when he was a kid. So yeah, I mean, and then I got to talk to him like a couple of months prior to the day that I found out that he passed away, which was crazy. I was still to this day, like I remember like I got to the Super Bowl and I got a text saying like, did you hear what happened? And it's still crazy if you think about it, because like, he's not supposed to be gone.
Right.
When I think of all the stuff he could be doing post career. So yeah,
It was devastating. I see. Larry Brown and Allen Iverson took game 1.
I was at that game. One of the best single performances.
The step over of Tyronn
Well, 'cause the Lakers,
Lue.
what did they go? Like they're like 16 and like they didn't lose a game that entire postseason.
Yes, they were flying.
And people don't remember, like they were kind of in control of that game, that they were up whatever 12, 13, 14 and like KI, like just the step over Ty Lue.
The Ty Lue.
He's not like a really great coach, and just like disrespect.
It was so bad, dude. I mean, he's legendary.
Amazing.
And if you remember, it went into overtime,
did.
game 2, and Shaq fouled out. But when the Lakers won that game, I said,
was-
"There's
yeah.
no shot. They're gonna steam us now."
The majority of those games were close, but yeah, when it was tough. That team was they hit their stride like the last month of the season. Didn't lose a postseason game.
Yeah,
except for that one.
that was really, really tough. But I did love that video of Kobe when the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017. He's like, "Fuck, I did it!"
Yeah, he was so happy.
Which
But
we were at, all 3 of us.
That's right.
I was there. It was unreal. I couldn't believe it. Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Incredible. One of the all-time best Super Bowls ever.
Where do you think that
In
ranks?
Minneapolis.
Top 10?
Yeah, well, for sure top 10. I mean, I think it's in the contention for 5 just because of
The shootout.
it was just a great
Mhm.
game. Yeah.
I mean, Brady had 550 yards.
Yeah.
And Foles just spread it around.
And I think if you remember the name of a play 10 years down the line, which you'll always remember.
Philly
Philly
special.
Yeah.
Philly special.
Philly special. But you kind of know like what that play is.
And then how about Peterson turning around Jacksonville?
Amazing.
I can't complain about Howie Roseman though. I'm gonna digress, but all right, I have to say because I have to say this. Carson Wentz got released. Now just riddle me this. Carson has an incredible season 2017. He goes down week 14. You put a journeyman in who ironically had always performed well in Philly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He didn't perform well anywhere
That's
else.
true.
Correct?
Yeah.
He goes on and beats Tom Brady
Yeah.
and Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest. I told everyone that I could tell at the Eagles, because I know some people there, you need to let Carson go. It's too much for him to overcome physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Because without him, they don't get that pass
Exactly.
to the Super Bowl. And I said, just get what you want. You sign Nick Foles for 2 years
Yeah.
for $20 million, whatever it was. Not whatever the 180, whatever we gave Carson. It was more than that. It would have been 380. And
nuts.
for those 2 seasons, I think they could have run it back, maybe. And B, Philly's not going to rip your head off for 2 seasons. Nick Foles, yeah, just let Carson go. It's the right thing to do. We still would have ended up with Jalen Hurts.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, still with Carson though. I mean, that was the right call.
Yeah.
To cut him with
What I would say
Washington.
is
But where does he go now?
You would be in this spot now, which is a great spot. I
Yeah.
think.
So Howie, tomato.
Where does Carson go now?
He doesn't. I think he's out of the league.
You think he's done?
I think there's a backup job at some point, but sometimes it's tough to give a backup job to a guy that thinks he should
Right. So
be the
do you
guy.
just take it? Do you just call it? Is my point.
Yes.
You do.
It could be. Yeah.
Really?
Well, think about where he's from. North Dakota, which is
Sure.
kind of a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
So he
He's
takes
got
his
more money than
$130
he'll
million
ever-
bucks and
yeah.
he goes hunting for deer. He has 20
Yeah,
kids
but
with his
taking
wife.
that quarterback ego out of the game, that's hard too. I mean, it's hard to sit on the bench with that
My
ego.
guess is he's not
but
done. My guess is someone will sign him.
He'll get
as a
somewhere.
backup role somewhere.
We're going to bring you back on the show
Maybe
because
the Jets.
I heard he's poisoned a lot of locker rooms.
Oh, well, listen, if that's the case, then he's not going to come back.
I don't think he's
I have no idea if
he
that's
had too many
yeah.
shots.
Because here's the thing. You don't want a backup who thinks that they should not be
Right.
the backup. Like,
Right.
he should be the guy. And if that's the case with him, then there's
I
no
agree with
reason
you
to come back.
100%. Since we're talking about the Lakers, and I never like to see anyone get hurt. LeBron has his foot injury, right?
Tough, yeah.
So how many weeks is he out? Or
They say 2 to 3. My guess is he'll come back sooner. Listen, they want the 6th seed, so they're not in the play-in. If they're just in the play-in, that's all they can hope for at this point. It's been such a disastrous year plus where they were below 500 a year ago. They've been below 500 this entire season. If they can just get into this play-in tournament, we'll see what happens. I mean, I have no expectations with this
the West
team.
is kind of weak.
The West is weak, but I don't think that means that they're going to go on a run here. It's crazy though. KD goes to the Suns, so they're my pick right now to go. The Clippers, I had such big hopes for the Clippers, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh my God,
No.
this is so many things you're saying here. So this is great.
Can I give you a stat real quick? The Clippers are 11-24 against teams above 500. So if you're going up against a decent team, the only 2 teams in the West worse against above 500 teams, the Spurs and the Houston Rockets. Those are the 2 worst teams.
Yeah.
So I have no faith in the Clippers right now that they're going to go into the playoffs and have this amazing run. I hope I'm wrong. It'd be fun for Los Angeles to have a good team.
I'm going to the Wolves game, Wolves Clippers game
There we
tonight.
go. That's right.
So
Yeah.
who's Minnesota's going to we're fucking terrible.
Take the under.
I think the Clippers are
Yeah.
going to win that.
It's gonna be fucking terrible.
Take the
Don't
under.
even answer.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
There, I said it. Well, hypothetically, nobody wants to go up against a healthy Lakers.
No.
Anthony Davis is, when he's healthy, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you have a 1-2 punch like AD and LeBron, you have a huge shot. But you're right. Without LeBron, it looks grim, but nobody wants to run into him.
But you said it if they're healthy, that no one wants to play them because
Yeah.
that's not a normal 10 seed or
But
9
when
seed
are
or
they
8
healthy?
seed.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
Talking about
That's the
Anthony
thing.
Davis.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
He's not going to be healthy.
But the other thing is,
he's like a porcelain doll.
yeah, he does.
every
He
season.
jumps up, I get nervous.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love Embiid. I mean, when you're that big, you are going to be brittle.
That's
It's just-
true.
and let's
That's
be
true.
honest. I
It's
asked
a
Shaq,
long way to fall.
Listen, Shaq said to me, point blank, I said, dude, do you get fouled every time you're in the paint? And he went, every time.
Oh, yeah.
So these 7-footers,
Yeah, they're
because they're
getting-
so big, they're getting killed
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
And it's just, you night in and night out, you take a beating. The funny thing is when you see these guys fall and you think that they're flopping, quote unquote, the trainers are saying fall because you're so big, you're so heavy, go with gravity. It is better
Okay.
for you to fall and roll naturally than to
Tuck
try
and
to brace
roll.
yourself and pull
Oh, I see.
a hammy or rip your
ACL.
ACL. So it's Embiid falls every single time. And I think, AD
Probably
should
the
maybe
same.
do the
Yeah.
same thing. But back to these guys, because we got one of them. First of all, getting rid of you know what? Farouk said I can say we. Because I pay for the gear, right? I pay for the tickets. So
Okay.
that team, remember?
Yeah, he did.
He said I can say we. So
Yeah.
the Sixers, I'm a fan. I'm glad we got rid of Ben Simmons. I think
Well,
Ben,
duh.
there's something wrong with
Who
him.
in Philadelphia was like, we should keep Ben Simmons?
I
Like,
mean, so
That's
that
crazy.
But I
Yeah.
think the 3 snake-bitten guys are Kyrie,
Yeah.
KD, and I dare I say it, the beard. I don't think
Yeah.
any of those guys will ever win a championship again unless Kevin Durant goes back to Golden State.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about KD is he was in such an amazing spot and position, but I think he did want his own team. And I mean, he was on the super team.
He's
There's-
always got a chip on his shoulder, like
yeah,
trying
like,
to,
and the Brooklyn thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never seen a big three fail so
Oh my God.
spectacularly. Kyrie's self-inflicted. Like, he did have his moment with the Cavs, but like, he goes to a team, he's happy maybe for a couple months, and then that's it. He's not
Yeah,
gonna be happy
poisons
with the
the well.
Mavs. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be good here with the Lakers. If he ends up with the Lakers, that's not gonna end well. What was I say? Kyrie, KD, and so yeah, it looks like James Harden's going back to Houston. I mean, I don't. He left Houston. I have no idea.
Did you see what the game last night?
No.
It's so hilarious. Philly always beats Milwaukee,
Yeah.
but the Celtics and Miami always beat Philly. But last night, and I know Doc Rivers, and I know what he did last night. He drew up a play for James Harden to get an open three to build his confidence, because James isn't ever really like the killer for buzzer beaters. He tends to disappear in tough situations. Well, he had the final shot, an uncontested three, clank.
Oh.
And I know Doc was like, I mean, Joel could have, he was in single coverage, but he dished it out and he missed. And I hate to use the word snake bitten or just cursed, but I feel like that's the case.
Is
man.
it the Kardashian curse? Because he does fall in line with.
Well, I also do
He does fall
believe
in line
this.
to that.
Yeah.
The narrative, and you're a journalist, and tell me this is not the thirstiest narrative in the NBA. Finals, Denver, Philly.
Yeah.
Philly potential to lose 4 championships.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nobody, and MVP, the Joker versus Embiid. You guys could write all day long this narrative.
He's already written the
Yeah.
article. It's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that Philadelphia, I said it on the Scholars, that they're going to lose in 6 games to Denver. I said that a month ago. It's just too good of a
We'll
narrative.
flash forward
Yeah.
to June.
Because I believe in some stuff like, the Celtics, for as well as they're playing, who was their coach in the beginning of the season?
The guy that.
They fired
Oh
him.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. You got,
Didn't he bang Brad Stevens' daughter on like?
No.
Are we sure?
No, yes.
It was someone
no.
within the organization, but
Yes,
I don't
she
think
was
it
like the travel coordinator or
Okay.
something.
All
They
right.
were both married.
They are not letting the Celtics. The NBA will not let the Celtics go to the finals. That's my prediction.
Okay.
As punishment.
Really?
They fired the. That's what I think. It's bad. That's a bad narrative.
True.
You know what I mean?
Do you appreciate? So let's just say the Sixers go to the finals and lose, and then this tragic thing happens where you guys have gone to all these. Do you appreciate that your team got that far, or is it like I'd rather not just get that far and lose in this big stage?
That is an incredible question, and I can only answer it this way. I've been to 2 Super Bowls, one the Eagles won, one they lost. I've been to 3 World Series, 2 that the Phillies lost, and 1 that they won. I would say the Super Bowl stung the most because it's 1 game,
Yeah.
but the jubilation of the victory did not even come close to the venom of defeat.
Wow, yeah.
So
a lot of great players and coaches say that, by the way.
yeah, it's just like when they won. First of all, I'm drinking, and I'm a big drinker. I'm a binge drinker. Oh, whatever. We got a healer coming in. Is gonna take the alcohols in me. Whatever. So
That's next, by the way.
yeah.
Great. Feel free to stick around.
All right, Arash. This girl says to me, it's a good friend. She goes, "Do you want to go to the Super Bowl in Minnesota? I have a free ticket for you. Face value is $3,500. It's on the 50-yard line, 20 rows back.
Wow.
There's a private jet flying us there, and
Amazing.
I say I got to get back to you because I don't want to be at a game that they lose.
Interesting. Okay.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So I called.
In the cold.
Yeah, well, I
That
called
is-
my attorney, and he goes, "Are you a fucking moron?"
Yeah.
So I go, and I go, you know what I'll do? I'll stay sober. Because if they lose, I have to be cognizant and not like setting trash cans on fire like I did in Jacksonville.
Please don't burn
I was
our
a
shit
younger
down.
man.
Yeah.
They won. It was enchanting. I saw grandfathers and grandkids and
yeah.
husbands and wives. And it was like this. I really took it in. And I flew back on the private jet. And I was in bed at 4 a.m. And I go, holy mackerel. The Philadelphia Eagles just won the Super Bowl. But Cut 2. I was supposed to go this year.
Okay.
Again, everybody that doesn't know, I've had a detached retina since December. I've had 2 surgeries. I'm blind in my left eye. I can't lay on my back and I can't fly. That was like a rap. I watched the game by myself while my buddy just walked in. Chris brought me some barbecue. But when they lost, I was defeated. I turned it off. I brushed my teeth and I went to bed. And I was so grateful that I was not at that game. That I was almost like, good luck, bad luck. I'll take the bad eye. I got the bubble eye. Because it sucks. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, can you imagine me drunk with an Eagle shirt navigating through Phoenix and Arizona with all those Eagles' long faces and their goatees and I go, oh, I would have hated it. I would have hated it. So it would have been too tough. It would have been too tough. So that's how I feel. I would rather they don't.
For a reason.
Yeah. For instance, I appreciated them losing to Toronto with that Kyrie bounce.
That's right.
The Raptors, because then like. The championship's too tough, man. It's too tough. I mean, what do you think?
That was a weird finals because, I mean, Toronto wasn't the best team, but they go up against a Warriors team that loses KD, that loses Clay, and it's like, at that point, it's over. It is hard to, when you get that far and you lose a big game.
Yeah, but like as an LA native, like you almost can't
I've
talk
won a
about
lot
it.
of,
You see, you guys have won a lot. It's like talking to a Boston fan. You're like, get the fuck out of here. As a Minnesota sports fan.
Beantown was shitty, though. You know that. Beantown used to be shit.
Well, yeah, but
then they had this amazing.
Yeah, they had like an amazing. They had a parade every year. Like, think about a group of children growing up that like every year they're like, oh, it's a parade for their sports team. Like, I've never experienced like winning.
I mean, their hockey team won like 1 million times.
Yes.
It really is. But this has got to be a little bit defeating, is it? Because you're a Dodger fan, right?
Yeah. So like the only World Series that we have, and I actually went there, was in Texas in front of like, I don't know, a couple of thousand fans during the pandemic, where you're like, man, like we've been really good for 10 years, but always come up short, you know? And then it's like, do you feel any, like, because I don't feel any better because Houston cheated, because A,
you don't get it.
We don't get it. And then B, like they continue to be very good and they won the World Series. So
don't tell it to Mad Dog.
Exactly, right? I mean, listen, that's not a trophy that I want. I don't think Houston should have that trophy. That's ridiculous.
You have 2 of those, the Lakers and the bubble.
That is no. That's different. I will push back on that. That is a very hard championship.
You have 2 asterisks.
That is a 2 no fans. Well, in Texas there were some fans. It was kind of weird. Where like they had some
was it like
fans.
quiet and weird?
It was a little weird. They like piped in the sound. They had some fans.
Oh yeah, I forgot they were doing that.
But they had. I forgot. Like if it seats 50,000, there might have been like 12,000 there, or something like that.
That's like uncomfortable.
I'd still take the championship. I would.
Oh,
I don't asterisk or no asterisk.
Oh, 100%.
I don't care. If somebody goes down, I feel sorry that they get injured.
No.
Toronto, I'm taking that championship.
Exactly.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
You got to take it. Should we bring up the decision with
I
LeBron?
I want to know if Arash ever name drops.
Name drops.
Oh, he did. He said he's friends with Kobe Bryant. I mean, there's nobody bigger than the Mamba.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But do you ever like in casual setting, like Tim's whole thing is that if he's somewhere and he wants to meet someone, he'll use a name drop in like, hey, I was in this, who knows that?
Yeah.
And do you ever do that in settings?
I'm sure I do. There's no doubt that I do. I'm trying to figure out.
Because
like,
everyone in LA.
Phrase, or the saying that I would do it. But like if I'm telling a story, sometimes I'll have to catch myself. It's like, oh, I was telling Kobe this, or something. But I'm trying to think. But like, there's no doubt that I have. There's no doubt that I do. I mean, but then again, I grew up here, right?
Yeah.
So like, you grow up in Los Angeles, and you're like, oh yeah, like I went to high school with so and so.
Okay. Name drop has come a long way, because you have to remember, I'm from a suburb of Philly. So when I'm completely opposite of you. You are from big time Hollywood stars. I thought that Steven Spielberg was going to see me at Pavilions and put me in E.T. 4. Like, that's how uninformed and dumb I am. So what I learned is, when you meet Cuba Gooding Jr., you don't go, you love hearing "Show Me the Money," huh? You love you like hearing that? Like, I was the first guy to ever say it to you.
Yeah.
That's what you don't do.
Yeah.
But as you said, normally when I meet somebody famous, I have a pretty good gauge of whether or not they want to tolerate anybody.
Yeah.
And then I have to find somebody in their sphere that I know, and then I'll just be, oh, hey, Bill, what have you been working on lately? He's, oh, I'm doing this thing. And I was like, oh, Norm did this thing. Oh, you know Norm on the thing? Oh, yeah, we did the thing. And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
But it is validity out here. Well, listen, it's
yeah.
validity anywhere. You graduated from USC, right?
USC.
So let's say you're interviewing to work for the LA Times. Is that where you work right now?
I did work there.
Okay,
yeah.
so the guy says to you, oh, man, okay, Rush, wait a second. You went to USC?
Yeah.
I graduated too. Really? Where'd you stay? I stayed with Bryant Connell. Bryant Connell, it's like you got the job. whether you're right, he's hiring you. Hey, it's just the way life is.
Yes.
It's the way it is. So that's how it goes.
USC is
USC is the ultimate name drop, actually.
Yeah.
In this town, that's kind of it.
Trojans, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, UCLA, I don't know, USC pretty
No, USC,
dominated.
you guys are like
the Trojan family.
The Trojan family. You're pretty tight. And I'm saying this as someone who is a Bruins fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean USC, you hold true. You fight on.
Yeah.
We have we have a couple name drops. You know Anthony Davis, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I shot a bless you. I shot a Gesundheit Mobile One oil commercial.
That's awesome. I think I remember this.
And I was dressed as the Mobile One oil.
Oh, okay.
So first of all,
photo.
Anthony Davis is a pretty impressive guy. He's a 2-time champion. He won in college, right? Where did he play? Kentucky Wildcat.
Yeah.
And here I am in like a foam oil can. And the Australian director's like, oh, now, mate, now listen, I want you to make it like real basketball. You got to talk shit and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, whatever, in my bad accent. So I sit down and I go, what's up, AD? And you could tell he's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He's not an actor.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's standing in front of me. And I go, AD, I'm going to fuck your shit up, dude. Fuck you up. They're like, action. I take one shot. He swats it to fucking Pluto. And the oil cap on my head spins off. I go, that's the take.
Exactly. You got
Scene.
it.
So then I go up to him and I go, dude, I'm only acting to fuck with you. And then we had such a great
that's awesome.
super set. And then we became friends. Like we DM sometimes. He's a big Packer fan.
He is.
He is?
He's a big cheesehead fan.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And by the way, Aaron Rodgers is going nowhere.
He's going to go back to Green Bay?
Yep.
Interesting. All right. I'm hoping he goes to Vegas. I think that'd be fun.
With Devontae
reunion.
Oh, that'd
Do you
be
think
fun.
He was teasing that a lot, and he could could be him being him. But I think it'd be fun. Have you gone to a game in Vegas? A Raiders?
No, I need
the
to
Vegas
go.
Eagles, but it was a dance club downstairs in the field.
I love that's the best part. That's the best
God.
part. No, so what I loved for a while when they built this, they were like, "There's going to be no parking there. There's going to be some parking, but not a lot." And what they did is they closed off the bridge that connects the strip to the stadium. It's perfect.
You're right.
And speaking of Vegas, I didn't mean to transition. I cannot wait for the Super Bowl to be in Las Vegas next year.
It's gonna be wild.
I'll take another one.
There we go.
By the way, so
we're just getting cooking now.
And not to bring up a sore topic, they got to figure out. So the field in Las Vegas is very much like the field in Glendale, Arizona, where they bring it in and out.
Yep.
And they bragged about the stupid turf for. Well, they said we've been prepping it for the past
years. Yeah.
Holy. Terrible. I mean, and I really feel because it really hurt you guys because you have this amazing pass rush, and there was like a 2-minute clip on Twitter of the Philadelphia pass rush slip sliding all over the field. I'm like, you spent a year on this turf. Again, they bragged
about
it.
A whole segment.
They brought the media on the field. Say, do you want
Arash,
to talk
you're
to
in a lot
the
of trouble
field?
here.
The Sod Father.
Do you know who the Sod? You know where the Sod Father was from?
Wait, is he?
Kansas City. Don't get me started. Let me just happen for you.
Terrible.
Jake from State Farm will start as the quarterback for Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, State Farm, who wins the Super Bowl at State Farm Arena with the fucking Sod Father, who's from Kansas City. I got it out of me. My other eyeball's gonna shoot out of my fucking head.
He's over the Super Bowl loss though.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
I mean,
That was pretty.
What? Okay. True or false?
Yes.
There is a genie bus, and there is also a Janie bus.
Yes, true. There is a Janie bus. Janie's in charge of all their, their charities and their foundations.
Okay, and you know how Janie bus and I know each other?
This would be an interesting one. Did you play a poker tournament or something charitable?
Oh boy! Hold on, you were close on poker tournament.
Okay.
Chatterball's not really my speed.
That's That's a lie.
She bought 22 horses
Wow.
with Doug O'Neill at Santa Anita.
There you go. They love the horse.
Yeah, and I have
Big.
to. This is great. This is unbelievable. Laker Ball at 30-1.
Wow.
It was owned by
That was the name of the horse?
Janie Buss. Yep.
Wow.
Doug O'Neill.
What
My
a
friend,
great
my
name.
agent Paul just walked in. He was a part of this. It was a Monday, so it was either President's Day or
Which
some.
track?
Santa Anita. We put in a pick 6 that day, and Doug trained Laker Ball. I don't know if Janie was there or not. And he goes, dude, you can't leave my horse out. He goes, if Laker Ball gets to the front, uncontested, he's got a shot. 30-1 Laker Ball, wire to wire. We won $37,000 that day.
I love that.
Crush it. On what was the ticket? The ticket was like $500 or something. It was unreal. So I know
I
you know
love
Jeannie.
that.
Oh my God, I had to tell you that
that's
story.
amazing.
Do you like the ponies?
I do. So I've started this new sports company, the Sporting Tribune.
Okay.
And I said there's a lot of sports that are not covered, and this is important from a sports gambling perspective, that I need to find. I don't know if anyone's like tuning in. I need to get a young reporter like down in the paddock, and like they're there like before sunrise. They're there,
Yeah,
and I'm
5
like,
in the morning.
it is. The reason you have like inside information is no one's covering it.
Yeah.
Like, no one's covering horse racing, right?
No.
Except for Tim Bader back in the day.
Exactly.
I got fired on air, but moving
Yeah.
forward.
But hockey is like another thing. Like, in
You need some
Los
Minnesota
Angeles,
girls.
in Minnesota,
You need some
exactly.
Minnesota girls.
So we're in the midst of starting this really from a sports gambling perspective, because if you have gambling, I will watch it. Remember it happened not that long ago. So the pandemic happens, and I'm like a KBO expert. Like, I know Korean baseball. Like,
What?
I start to watch that. Because what else am I gonna do?
Did you go to the rugby game at the Coliseum?
Yes.
Me too.
Korean
It
baseball,
was
dude.
awesome.
I'll take you to the track. You take me to a Korean
So
baseball
I said
game.
my dad's not a degenerate. I didn't talk about myself.
Yeah.
I love it so much. Listen, if I don't have action on the game, I don't care if my mom's
exactly.
the quarterback. I'm not
I
watching.
feel you.
That's it. You gotta have action. Always gotta have the
But now
action.
they have, I mean, you probably know this, but they have like sports books within the stadium,
Yeah.
within the
Oh, yeah.
arena. Like in Phoenix, that was the case. In Vegas, obviously,
But
that's
what
gonna
a
be the case.
wild transition to go from like, don't talk about
I
gambling to now
know.
you're opening a company that is based around
Yeah.
gambling in a
Oh,
sense.
exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Journalism
because,
with gambling.
Like
I love it.
everyone has done it. Everyone did it, and so the only difference is now we can talk about it. But the reason like it's okay. I mean, it's been okay. Like the leagues are all embedded. Like multiple. Like
Because they're making money.
who's gonna say no to money?
My favorite thing is you were like, I think gambling's like good for sports and stuff like that, because it does take away the element of larceny and cheating, because baseball is a game of cheating. You steal signs,
Yeah.
you steal bases, and I heard that what Houston was doing with devices, Boston was doing it. Every team
Exactly.
does it. That's what I kind of love. Baseball polices itself. Whatever edge a team gets, some player is going to go to another team and tell you how to pick a pitcher tipping pitches.
Yes.
And it kind of polices itself, which is the same thing with racing. Now, obviously, there's the drug thing with horse racing and steroids and stuff, and that would go the same way with baseball. But those two sports kind of police each other in that regard, which I think gambling will do with all sports.
Yes.
Because if you think you have an inside tip, some other asshole's got an inside tip, and
Yeah.
it's going to wash itself
You
out.
just have to have it like, if we can all take this drug, if we can all do steroids, or if we could all do, but if you're the only one who's doing it, well, then that's like an unfair advantage. Now, if there's a way for us to kind of steal signs, then that's fine.
We're going to do it.
If I know your signs, I have no problem with that.
Who took more steroids, Jose Canseco or Barry Bonds?
I think they probably both took a lot.
They both look like Mr. Potato Head. We'll say it's a dead heat. It's a dead heat.
Mark McGuire's up there, but I think with those players, especially Bonds, it's like he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree. Listen,
think
it's hard to hit a major league pitch.
Well, I think he has two careers. He has the Pittsburgh career where he looks like his head's not huge. And then he has the San Francisco Giants career. I think he's a Hall of Famer, though.
A very dear friend of mine, name drop, Paul LaDuca,
Yeah.
Dodger.
Great transition career, right? Goes from amazing baseball player to like one of the guys in horse race.
At Naira, New York.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we worked together for TVG. I love Paul.
Mhm.
Paul said, I am a short Italian guy that can hit a major league fastball, which is a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah.
He said, but my power was keeping those balls in the stadium. And somebody somewhere said, I have some magic beans, Paul. You can grow a stalk or you can hit those fastballs out of the stadium. Did you take the magic beans? I think he did. Allegedly,
Yeah.
I love the guy to death.
My
but
perfect example is the Tour de France back in the day. Well, if Lance Armstrong was the only one taking it, I'd be like, okay,
sure,
dude.
But everyone
was taking it, so like everyone's in this crazy sport.
Another
where, like,
great
everyone's
documentary.
taking it.
Oh my God.
And he was just a better chemist.
He was a better chemist.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's but like if everyone's taking it, that's okay. But like everyone should be playing the same sport. They were all doing the same thing.
I concur. Hold on. We're all over the place here. We're running out of time. What do we have to hit here? We got the buses. By the way, I did hear this. You beat cancer twice, huh?
2 times, yes.
God bless, brother.
Thank you so much.
You're a warrior.
Thank
That's amazing. You look fantastic. You look
Thank you.
beautiful, and I hope we're friends.
Oh,
after
we are
this.
friends for life now.
Yeah,
I'm going to drop your name.
Yeah.
Oh,
Next time I see Anthony Davis, I'll be like, remember that pencil?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I scored on him 3 times.
There we go.
Now, hear me out. They were all sky hooks from the 3-pointer that went off the
Great.
backboard. Oh, yeah. Boom, boom. And
Look at Skyhook. Oh, that's fun.
it was, I mean, I shot 20 of them. 3
right,
went
there
in.
you go.
But the first one went in. His team, his entourage, just fucking buried him. It was the greatest ever.
Love that.
Have we covered everything here? Do I have to say to everybody, this is Name Drop, the podcast. Please like, subscribe, and listen anywhere podcasts are available. Arash, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're going to have to come back on,
Would love
especially baseball season's upon us.
Let's go.
My Phillies look good. Obviously, the Dodgers are stacked.
Not so good. I don't know about the Dodgers this year, but we're going to go get Shohei Ohtani in the offseason. So
There's a part of me.
About 2023.
There's a part of me that wants to see him because a guy's talent
great.
like that,
Amazing.
rotting in Anaheim, it's not great. All right,
I like the interesting.
let's bring on the healer. I got a nice buzz. Let's see if she can sober me up.